Hello everyone, welcome back to Gane Academy. Today's topic is hashing or hash functions. So what is a hash function? Hash functions are special functions which convert any input, any arbitrary input into a fixed length output. Now just like other functions, it has some properties. So what are these properties? As I said, the input can be of arbitrary length. So the length of the input can be anything. It can be a single string, it can be just a word, or it can be a whole document which is full of strings and statements. Now the output should be fixed. So it should be of fixed length. So getting an example over here, the output can be of, let's say, 128 bits or maybe 256 bits, but it will be of fixed length. So the output of the hash function is always fixed length. Now the another property of this hash function is that the output is always non-readable form. So you cannot read it directly. It's not like a simple English statement. It is gibberish. Okay. Another property is that it is unique to its input. So if there is a small change within the input, the output will also change. So it is completely dependent and it is one way. So what do I mean by one way? That is, you can obtain output from input, but you cannot obtain input from output. So this way is possible, but going the other way around is not possible. So this way is possible. You can find the output using the input and using the hash function, but you cannot find the input with the output. All right. So these are the properties of a hash function. There are some other properties as well, like the output should be unique to input and there should not be a collision between two inputs. So let's say that you have an input X and then you have an input Y. The output of both these inputs cannot be same. So there should not be any collision between two inputs. Of course, there are chances of having a collision because the output is always fixed, but there should be a minimal collisions. There should not be a high chances of collision. One another property is avalanche effect. Now what do I mean by avalanche effect is that when you give an input, there is a specific output. But I can show you an example rather than explaining it. So here is one example. I give an input hello with a capital H. So this is the output of hello with capital H. But if I change the hello, if I change the capital H to a small h, the output, you can see it changes drastically. You can see that with your eyes that output has changed a lot. So this is avalanche effect. That is, even if you make a smallest change within the input, the output will drastically change. And with the third example, you can see that the output is always of a fixed length. In this example, the technique or the hash function that I have used is SHA 256. There are some other techniques or hash functions available as well. Namely, one is MD4, another is SHA3. There is one more, SHA 512. Now it is dependent on what your use case is and how big of an output you want. So you want a 256-bit output, you can use SHA 256. You can use 512 as well, for you can have a 512-bit output. There is MD4 and SHA3 as well. So you can use any technique to create a hash function. Now what is the use case of having such hash functions? So one of the use case is having the data integrity. So let's say, for example, that you have a data, let's consider that data to be X, right? And you created a hash functions, let's name it hx. Okay, so when you send this data, the hash function is unique to this data. All right, if you make any specific change in this data, the hash function will change. So to maintain the data integrity, the hash function are used with it. One such example to use is storing your password. So let's say you are using a website and you are using your email ID to sign up. So there is a username and then there is a password, right? So in order to store the password, they don't directly store the password in the backend. They create a hash function. So let's say that your password is admin, which is one of the more common passwords. So you created this password. They won't store admin directly in their database. What they will do is they will create a hash of it, and then they will store the hash. So whenever you put the exact same input, there will be a specific output. Let's say this output of this particular input is h1. So the database will store h1 instead of storing admin itself. So when it has to log in, every time they will hash this input, the password that you have given to the website, they will hash it, and then they will compare it with the one stored in the backend. In this way, the people that are controlling the backend, they won't be able to see your password as well. So your password remains hidden. Another use case for hashing is indexing or while searching in the database. So as we know that this hash is actually unique to the input, so what we can do is we can create it as an index of the whatever the data is being stored in the database or my table. So I can use this hashing as my index. So let's say my data is x, y, z, 1, 10. So this is my input. I can simply encode them and create a hash of it, and whatever the hash is, I can use it as an index, and using this index I can always search the data. Alright, so this is another use case of hashing. Hashing is also used widely in the blockchain's ecosystem, so it has another use cases in blockchain as well, especially when we are creating transactions or we're creating block hashes. So hashing is used in it. Another use case for hashing is digital signatures. So while creating a digital signature of a document, so let's say this is your document. First of all, you hash this document, you create a particular hash, and this hash is then signed by a private key. That is what you create a signature. So in order to create this signature, you sign this particular hash with your private key. That is your digital signature, and then you attach that signature with your document. So hashing is used in digital signatures as well. And there are also multiple use cases other than what I have told you in this video. So you can learn it over the internet as well. You can Google it, or you can maybe find your own examples in which you can use the hashing. So let's summarize what we have learned today. So what hashing is basically a function in which any arbitrary length input can be given and a unique output is created. So the output can be of fixed length and it is unique to what the input is. It is collision resistant and it has an avalanche effect, and it is one way. So you cannot create the input from the output. So if I give you an output, you cannot recreate the input. Few of the examples are given below. You can have a look at these examples as well. I hope now you have a good understanding of what hash functions are. If you have any doubts, let me know. Feel free to reach out to me. And if you like the video, please share it with your friends as well. Thank you.